SIXBID remains one of the world's most popular auction portals. Let's take a quick look at some of the most interesting coins sold in April of 2026. We start in Georgian England with a 5 guinea of 1741. Now, the 5 guinea piece was a big one, the largest gold coin that the English mint made, and never really meant for everyday hands. This was money for settling serious debts and making serious impressions. It carries the young head of George II, the last British king who'd personally lead an army into battle. But the reason it's here isn't rarity so much as survival or preservation. Nearly 3 centuries on, the fields are still proof-like and the high points are still frosted. It was sold at Schulman Numismatics' Scandinavian auction for €62,000, or about $72,000. On the 1st of March 1881, the Tsar, who'd freed nearly 23 million serfs, was cut down by the very revolutionaries he'd spent most of his reign trying to outrun. Alexander II, the liberator, had dodged assassination attempts for years. Then a bomb on St. Petersburg Canal finally caught up with him. And here's the cruel part. He is said to have been carrying that very day a draft of a reform bill that might have given Russia a constitution. This gold medal, struck the very same year, is his memorial, a mourning allegory of Mother Russia laying a wreath on his tomb. It opened and closed at €75,000, or around $87,500. Carthage did not strike this coin in comfort. It was born in the crisis of the First Punic War, when silver was scarce and soldiers still had to be paid. After Regulus carried Rome's war into Africa, Carthage rebuilt its armies, its finances, and its nerve. And silver, like this, most likely answered the demand for Greek mercenaries who expected to be paid in a metal they trusted. Here, Tannet appears from the previously unrecorded die pairing with Punic control letters on both sides, a wartime rarity struck at the very edge of defeat. It was sold by Astarte Coins and Fine Art for 90,000 Swiss francs, or about $115,000. Dionysius did not revive the Syracusan decadrem as a routine coinage. He revived it as theatre. After the Carthaginian invasion of around 405 BC, Syracuse emerged under a new tyrant, richer, harder, and armed for dominion. Its fleet became the strongest in the Mediterranean. Its walls made it the most fortified of any Greek city, and for that moment, Dionysius summoned Cimon and Ioanitos, master Sicilian engravers, to create silver on a scale worthy of their victory. This was Syracuse announcing itself as the power that had survived Carthage and would now command the Greek West. Sold by Astarte for 95,000 Swiss francs, which was about $120,000. In 1860, there was no Italy as such, at least not yet, not in the sense that we understand it today. It was being stitched together, province by province, vote by vote. So after the central Italian states chose to join Piedmont, Vittorio Emanuele II ruled the Emilio provinces. This Bologna 20 lira preserves that moment exactly. Its legend names no united Italy, only the provinces themselves, and just 159 were struck before history overtook the wording. A year later, Vittorio Emanuele became king of a united Italy. It made €104,000 from numisma, or around $120,000. In 1839, the Royal Mint's William Wyon made a bold call. Instead of showing the young Queen Victoria in the usual royal pose, he cast her as Una, the figure of truth from Edmund Spenser's Faerie Queene, leading the British lion, strength guided by virtue. A portrait that became so iconic that on the 200th anniversary of Queen Victoria's birth, Alderney decided to mint a tribute from a full kilo of 24-karat gold and a mintage of just 5 coins. It was offered by Auction World in Japan for 24,100,000 yen, or approximately $150,000. During the late Byzantine Age, when the Arab conquests had taken Syria, Egypt, and Iraq, but gold in the West still moved in the shadow of Byzantium, this solidus became the moment when Abdul al-Malik began to change that. It is a strange transitional piece. Its obverse still shows 3 imperial figures of Heraclius and his sons, but the reverse is denoted in Arabic. It is the very threshold before reform, Byzantine still in form, but Islamic in authority, sold at auction by Classic Numismatics Group for $160,000. Rudolf II was the oldest of the Holy Roman Emperors, a recluse who ran the empire from Prague, surrounded by alchemists and astronomers, while it slid slowly towards the 30 Years' War. Frankfurt, the city where emperors were crowned, struck this in his name in 1606. 10 ducats of gold, taken from the dies of the city's silver thalers. The imperial eagle on a cross, the crowned double eagle on the back. It is the only one known, a single survivor. 4 centuries on, it sold at auction for 155,000 euros, which comes to about $180,000. In March of 1640, a single edict ended nearly 2,000 years of how France made its money. Out went the hammered coins, and in came the milled coinage, struck on the screw press by the engraver Jean Warin, round, uniformed, hard to clip or fake. And the new gold was named after the king, the Louis d'Or. The piece is the grandest version of that. 10 Louis d'Ors, 10 times the normal weight, 67 grams of gold, which was sold for 165,000 euros, just a bit over $192,000, the founding coin of a dynasty's money in its most extravagant form. 1631 was about the worst year of the 30 Years' War. That spring, Magdeburg was sacked and burned. Armies were crossing Germany in just about every direction, and the free city of Nuremberg sit right in their path. And yet, Nuremberg, one of the richest merchant towns in the empire, struck this. A 6-ducat gold piece with a sweeping view of the city spires, a prayer for peace in the legend under the double eagle of Ferdinand II. Graded as MS65, probably the finest known of the type, it sold for 34 million yen by Auction World, roughly $215,000. Which then brings us to the top 2, both of which are Habsburg gold, both from the same sale. Franz Joseph I reigned for 68 years, long enough to be nearly an empire all by himself. His face is on countless coins, but this one, a plain single ducat struck at the Hungarian mint of Kremnitz in 1880, is unique. There's no second example of this coin known anywhere. Graded as MS62 deep proof-like, it fetched 340,000 euros, or just shy of $400,000 at auction. And right at the top of the board sat the heaviest hitter of all, 10 ducats of imperial gold, struck at Prague in 1661 for Leopold I, the Habsburg Emperor whose reign would be defined by the Ottoman armies that broke against Vienna in 1683. This is gold as statement. 35 grams, nearly 48 millimeters across, it last surfaced at Sotheby's in London in 2001 from the famous Rudolph Just collection. It's the kind of pedigree that turns a rarity into a trophy. It hammered for 500,000 euros, or about 590,000 US dollars at the time. Subscribe to WNN and feel free to watch another video right here next. For the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying thank you for watching, keep collecting, and have a fantastic day.